Hello there. So this is the second installment in the Friends Archetype series where I will be analyzing the characters based on their personality and character traits and assigning them a specific archetype. In these segments we will be looking at the Friends characters. And on this episode, I'll be specifically concentrating on Monica Geller. I will analyze her character traits and personality, and based entirely on my more or less completely unqualified opinion, I'll be assigning her her specific archetype. Let's get started. Now, when I first thought of what archetype best fits Monica, I immediately thought the ruler. I originally thought that she was a definite ruler because she is a person that has a very specific set way of doing things. She likes to follow the rules and whatnot, and but looking deep into it, I realized that there may be a lot more to it than that. For instance, the ruler doesn't really like surprises. However, Monica seems to like surprises, at least when it's something that's an anniversary present or a birthday party or something like that. Some kind of surprise that makes people idolize her. Monica's not really a fan of chaos, but she is overall more or less okay with surprises. However, she doesn't like it when things stray off her plan, or when things don't go her way. But she can adapt if need be. There are many instances, however, where she needs to be in control of the way things are going. There are many scenes when she is cooking or cleaning that really turns her personality into that of a drill sergeant.
Fine, judge all you want to, but married a lesbian, left a man at the altar, fell in love with a gay ice dancer, threw a girl's wooden leg in the fire, live in a box!
She also has a level of cleaning that is borderline OCD. One scene that I always liked was when Ross was dating that one girl that had that horribly messy apartment. Even after they broke up, Monica went over to her house and asked to clean it because she just felt that she had this obligation, this obsession to do it, and she couldn't help but thinking about how messy it was. Clearly, Monica has a set way of doing things that stems from her desire for control. Unfortunately, she doesn't really have the self-confidence that the archetype does, at least not in the extreme sense. She is somewhat self-conscious about her weight when she was younger, and when it came to her parents, she was pretty easily put down. A lot of times if she was reminded of like her past and especially how her parents view her, she's not really that confident. Overall, I think the ruler is a good contender at least for Monica's archetype. Let's see what else there is. So next up is the Jester archetype. This is the personality that lives in the here and now, loves spontaneity and impulsiveness, and look at things from multiple different points of view. Now, I don't think that there's anything less fitting for Monica, at least. Monica's the kind of person that needs to plan things out in a step-by-step, orderly fashion. She definitely has a my way or the highway kind of philosophy. She needs people to kind of either go with her on this or go against her. She kind of sees them almost as an enemy when they're going against her as well. And this entire personality is my way, the highway view is opposite of the Jester. She definitely plans for the future as well. Is more concerned with the destination, not so much the journey. So while she is able to think on her feet at times, or at least be able to edit the plan as need be, because she prefers to have everything all set and planned out, I don't think the Jester really is the best fit for her. And if something does go wrong, she probably already has a predetermined backup plan that'll help keep the situation on track. So overall, let's see what else there is. Next up, we have the Everyman. Now, this archetype is considered someone who is hardworking and honest, and needs to be liked by everyone around them. They don't really have that really strong desire for greatness. They want to kind of blend in with the crowd. It often is really well paired with the ruler, as kind of the sheep, with the ruler being the shepherd, and they kind of want to just follow on, and they like being told what to do. Now, Monica is kind of an everyman if you think about it. She definitely has that desire to be liked by everyone around her. Remember that she grew up in Ross's shadow and was constantly being compared to him, and even with all of his academic achievements and whatnot, she definitely had a strong desire for her parents' approval. So in other words, she definitely has the desire to be liked. After she and Chandler returned from their honeymoon, she obsessed over the couple that they were honeymooning with, over whether or not they liked them or not. The same thing happened with Joey's roommate that later became his girlfriend. When the two of them started dating, she revealed to Joey that she didn't like Monica and Chandler, and they actually began to obsess over this and start trying to show how they were actually really good people, how they weren't that loud or funny or whatnot. Overall, though, they both actually had a strong desire to be liked by Joey's new girlfriend. However, if she can't prove her point that she is a likable person, Monica is okay with pushing people away. She did break up with a number of people, like Pete, who wanted to be, some kind of ultimate fighter, and Richard, who didn't really want kids, because they didn't fit with her cookie-cutter way of thinking. She had this specific dream of the future that, although meant breaking up with two people that she really did like, she was okay with breaking their hearts if it meant having her way of doing things. Also, the Everyman does play the victim quite often. Monica is very quick to reflect blame onto other people. Whenever a problem arises, she sees that she's kind of the one responsible for causing it. She's perfectly fine throwing other people under the rug, such as Ross or Chandler. Plus, this person isn't usually very mature. I think Monica's definitely very mature throughout the series. So next up is the Caregiver. Now, I definitely think this archetype accurately reflects Monica's personality. Now, this is the traditionally motherly archetype. These are the people that live by doing right by others, even if it means sacrificing themselves. They can also play dirty if it means helping others. They kind of have that greater good sense of mind. Now, Monica does have this desire to be a good host and a good provider, and it's shown often throughout the series.
I always tried so hard to be a good hostess.
After the episode where Rachel and Monica switch apartments with Joey and Chandler, Monica spends the entire day changing Joey and Chandler's old apartment into being a place that's really good, place that people want to be around, and eventually, instead of hanging out all the time over in her and Rachel's apartment, they'll eventually switch over to their new apartment, aka Chandler and Joey's old apartment. Monica definitely has this desire for perfection, so this is why every drink needs to have a coaster, the fridge always needs to be fully stocked, and why she's perfectly fine with having Joey, Chandler, and all the other friends constantly over at her apartment. However, don't forget that Monica does have a secret messy closet, where Monica holds all of her stuff that she just doesn't have a place for yet. But that doesn't mean she doesn't have a strong desire to keep everything neat and tidy, and again, is kind of borderline OCD. She's obsessing over all of these things. They need a place. In this case, that place is the messy closet. And she's willing to play dirty if need be.
Cheater, cheater, compulsive eater.
You haven't grown up, but I have.
Oh, okay.
Dead leg!
Oh.
Next archetype is the hero. Now, I think that Monica definitely shows a strong hero archetype, in terms of overcoming challenges at least. And she has a major tendency to be competitive. As we've seen constantly throughout the series, she's consistently pushing herself to be better and raising the stakes to any challenge she faces. I always love the Thanksgiving Day episode where they play a game of touch football. Russ and Monica played against each other a lot as a kid, but eventually got banned because their competitor's side overcame them both. In this episode, they were competing over the Geller Cup, and while it isn't ever officially declared who the winner is, we can definitely see that Monica has a strong competitive side. They eventually were so competitive that they skipped the Thanksgiving meal because neither one of them wanted to let go of the ball. And instead of tricking her opponents and outthinking them, Monica utilizes a more straightforward approach when dealing with her problems. In times where she has tried to outthink her opponents, usually end up in failure, such as the scene with the phone where she tries to get closure after she breaks up with Richard. And she's also tried some creative thinking in the process, but sometimes it doesn't always work out that well. Clearly, she should stick to her straightforward approach. The hero is also very optimistic and self-confident, and Monica definitely believes in herself when she's in her natural environment. She thinks she's good at cleaning, a good cook, and good in bed. After all, her motto is,
I know.
Unfortunately, to counterbalance this, she doesn't really draw her strength from helping others. She seems to want to help others so that she will be seen to them as useful, but doesn't seem actually invested in their official success. Moving on, it's the Revolutionary. I think this archetype is very contradictory to Monica. Now, Monica does have a strong desire for control that comes with this personality, but she's usually the one that is already in control. So it would be kind of hypocritical to call her a revolutionary, even though it does kind of fit her personality. Now, we could say that she changed a lot in her environment by going from someone who was fat, unconfident, and lonely when she was younger, and then changed to someone who we see in the series more often, as someone who's successful, proud, and somewhat self-confident, and more in control of her life. But this is more of a self-change, not so much a change in the external environment. Next up is the Outlaw. Now this character is again someone who is free-minded and free-spirited. They think the status quo doesn't really apply to them, but that doesn't always mean that it's wrong. Now Monica does show some outlaw qualities. She's willing to break the rules and lie if it means she's going to be successful in whatever she's doing. Such as the scene with the lottery tickets. And jumping back to the apartment switching scene, she and Rachel did take back their apartment kind of illegally. Yes, they did eventually make it a fair trade, but because they did it before the other guys agreed to it, this showed that she is willing to break the rules if it means she gets what she wants. Though she does occasionally feel guilty about the thing that she does, this doesn't prevent her from doing it again. The Outlaw also is against authority. Now Monica, growing up, this was her parents and to a degree Ross. Now instead of going against them externally, she acclimated to their needs and made herself self-sufficient, self-successful in the eyes of her parents and of her brother in some cases. In other words, while she does show some qualities of the Outlaw, I don't know if Outlaw is the best fit for Monica either. Now, the Magician. Now remember, this is the archetype that, while already has a lot of knowledge within themselves, they still have a strong desire to obtain more, and they don't really apply it to their real-world experience. They are masters of academia and usually the scholarly types that are good with technology or really good at certain skill. Now, I wouldn't really consider her the scholarly or academic type, not to say that she isn't smart, but I wouldn't call her a nerd, at least not as nerdy as Ross or Chandler. Though a master of the elements goes, she's very good at the kitchen. She was a caterer, a cook, a chef at a restaurant, and was even hired by that one advertising company to make that mocklet chocolate as their line of products. Now we could say that in terms of cooking, whenever she's in the kitchen, she does have some kind of magical tendencies. I don't really know if that is the best fit for her since it's only in that one area. And the second half of the Magician is the Sage. Now this is the teacher, the mentor, the wrinkly little wizard that has the pointy hat and a long white beard. They think themselves above others and their vast amounts of experience and try to guide people on their journeys. They utilize what they learned and are working on applying it in the real world. Now Monica doesn't really ever take on any kind of apprentice or prodigy in terms of her cleaning or her cooking, which are really her best skills. I think if the series continued and we saw Monica raising her kids, she would probably take them under her wing and teach them how to cook and clean and whatnot. But as of now, she doesn't really show that quality. Now, she does offer guidance in other ways. She helped Rachel get her first job, and she definitely encourages and guides people to become successful, mostly because she kind of sees people as they need to be successful and wants to help them along. She probably is trying to give others motivation to be successful in the same way that she tries to motivate herself. Also, the Sage's biggest fear is being ignorant. I think Monica's biggest fear is not being ignorant, it's being left behind and being alone. Because of this, I don't think she's very much the Sage. Now moving on is the Innocent. Now, this is the optimist, the goody two-shoes, and very forgiving person. It's the person that never does any harm and is overall a good person and stays the good person. And I gotta say, I think Monica does change a little bit throughout the series. She definitely went through a big change before the series by losing all the weight, but in the series, her change is only minor. She always seemed kind of confident that she would get married, have kids, and while she did have some highs and lows of this concept, she never really strayed from it entirely. She acquired her goal of becoming a good cook very early in the series and got married about halfway through it, and then the only thing left was to have kids. In terms of morality and rules, she doesn't really fit the requirement of being good because she's willing to break the rules and lie if it means winning the game and becoming successful. She and Chandler did date for a while in secret and often threw Joey under the bus in order to keep it that way. They did this multiple times and was even willing to push Chandler to almost cheat on her because she just wanted to win this kind of game that all the friends were playing. Even when most of their friends found out about the relationship, her competitive side took over, and instead of coming clean, she became even more devious. So maybe not the Innocent so much. Let's see what else there is. Next is the Creator. Now I think this is a really strong contender for what Monica is. For starters, as the name implies, Monica does actually pride herself on what she physically creates. In this case, it's what she creates in the kitchen. She always cooks the Thanksgiving meals, Ross's special sandwich that eventually made him so angry that he lost his job. Like the Creator, Monica also views herself high above others in the series, at least in terms of the kitchen. though this isn't really that hard when she's going against people who make the English trifle, and the Nestle Toll House cookies. Monica definitely loves it when people eat her food, and throughout the series she climbs the occupational ladder to becoming a real chef. And she really did try it all. She did some catering with Phoebe, did the Moncla thing, to being a cook even with the fake boobs, and all the way up to being a chef at a couple of restaurants, actually. Clearly, she considers her food and her apartment as an extension of herself. This is why she loves it when people stay at her place, eats her food, and she really just wants people to see her as useful. She always has a strive to do better than she did before. Clearly, she has a drive for perfection that will never be obtained. Now, lastly, the Explorer. Now, this is the archetype that's constantly looking inward on themselves. They're striving for that sense of freedom, but also that sense of self-discovery. They're always open to new ideas and going on adventures to figure things out. Now, Monica doesn't obtain her dream right away. She went through a lot of struggles both internally and externally in acquiring what she wants. But we do know that she wanted to be a chef, thanks to Chandler, and she always knew that she wanted to be a mom. Although she may not have known who with at the time, she did have a general idea of who she wanted to be with and what she wanted to do with her life. But we also know that she's the person that needs to plan everything out, and while she is willing to help her friends out at the drop of a hat, she definitely prefers to plan and execute. Because of this and her strong understanding of who she is, maybe the Explorer isn't the best. Well, after much thought and concentration, I've decided that Monica, based entirely on my more or less completely unqualified opinion, is the creator. Now, I know what you're thinking. A lot of people originally thought that Monica was ruler because of her strict persona and her obsessive-compulsive need to have everything orderly and be in control. But you can break Monica's personality into 3 distinct parts. She has the strong need for control, a need to be the best, and a need for admiration. And I was really influenced by the episode with the dollhouse. Monica gets a pristine dollhouse that she got from a deceased relative, and allows Phoebe to play with it alongside her. But when she bans Phoebe from the dollhouse because she was too eccentric, Phoebe gets a dollhouse of her own, and this dollhouse is a lot crazier, a lot more wild, a lot more uncontrolled, but it definitely draws the attention of everyone else in the room. They think it's more fun and kind of just cooler than Monica's. But after Phoebe's dollhouse was destroyed, Monica realized that if she brought her back over to play with her dollhouse, then the rest of the friends would follow her. Clearly, she sacrificed her own need for control and order for her need to be admired and her need to be valued. I also thought that she could be the caregiver, but because of her strong competitive side, I decided that she has this kind of hierarchy of personality. She has this need for admiration first, the need to be the best second, and have the need for control third. Because of these 3 factors and her experience and characteristics, I think that she's the creator. Be sure to leave a comment down below if you agree or disagree with me and explain why. And also be sure to click that like and subscribe button. And be on the lookout for my other friends' videos, as well as comment down below what other TV shows you'd like to see me analyze. Thank you for watching, and remember, stay concentrated.